Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this week's Practice Accelerator Challenge webinar. We're so happy to be here with you. Session 4, the Tao of Medicine, will be held on December 2nd and 3rd at the beautiful Zermatt Resort in Midway, Utah. So right in Regan's neighborhood, which is really cool. Make sure that you get registered if you have not registered already. So there's that housekeeping. Also, for our wonderful Inner Circle members, I mean, you're all cool and wonderful, don't get me wrong. We will be doing our last coaching webinar on Friday this week at noon, our usual time. And then we'll be setting up some more one-on-one coaching with Regan to just build out the best offer you've ever built out. So I will be reaching out to all of you to get you scheduled for that. So I think that's all I've got today. But so Regan, we're going to be talking peptide stacks today, huh?
Yeah. So a lot of people have asked, like, hey, how do you put the peptide structures together, and what's your thinking process behind it? Because I think it can alleviate a lot of concerns that people have. Because here's what I find. I find most doctors these days are really excited about peptides. Functional medicine, regenerative medicine doctors, anti-aging doctors, everybody's adopting peptides. But what I find is missing is stacking the peptides at the right time, and so the way you don't want to do it is what we can talk about first. Is there's this idea that, well, if BPC 157 is great, let's just keep our patients on it like ad nauseum, like just keep them taken over and over and over again. And there's a better way of doing it, and that's what we'll talk about today. And then I'm going to also show you some creative ways of thinking in terms of pathways and optimizing versus just treating symptoms and trying to get the anti-aging impact from peptides. So we can go through it. This is a general template, and you guys have access to this in the signature group. But what this is when I'm thinking about our programs, and you'll want to create your own programs as well, but beautiful thing is if you help someone feel their best, that's our number one goal, look their best and perform their best. We do this in 60-day segments. And so each of the 60 days has a general intention behind it where we want to really fast flow the outcomes that people are getting in their care. And so this would be a general template for somebody who maybe wants to lose weight, somebody who has metabolic challenges, maybe metabolic acidosis. You read their labs and their anion gap's off, their alkaline phosphatase is low, maybe they've got issues with ALT and AST. I mean, if you think about the patients that make up this group, GFR is usually in the 60s, so they're kind of trending, towards some kidney disease or kidney issues, and so this would be a pretty typical patient that would fit this profile. And we can talk about others as well, but so you think of someone who, they want to lose 30 pounds, they want better energy, they want to start building muscle mass and have some fitness levels, then, we follow this 3-phase process: a 60-day reset, 60-day recharge, and a 60-day restore. And so if you look at the therapies and the treatments, first thing I want to do whenever I'm working with a patient is reset the HPA axis. And if they have insulin dysregulation, I want to make sure we create as much insulin sensitivity as possible. And Dan, you gave, I still hold to it, you gave one of the best functional medicine blood review trainings ever in session 3. But where would you start? Like, if you look at this, HPA axis and stabilizing blood sugar, what happens when you fix those two things in the body?
Man, that starts to change everything. Energy level increases dramatically, sleep quality improves. You start to see regulation of the cortisol. And because of that, you start to get, the growth hormone really gets synchronized in there properly, and that starts to really change a lot of different mechanisms in the body. So it's always a really awesome thing to see. I mean, especially if you have people like eating at a right time, where they're not eating like an irregular schedule, but just getting the body synchronized, like, because we have all those rhythms, right? The infradian, the circadian, you got all these rhythms that are so incredibly important. So when you get that insulin sensitivity balance in there with it, it affects all of the anabolic hormones as well. And then the catabolic process works better if you're trying to break down fat. So, you get those rhythms synchronized, you get the sleep optimized, you start triggering longevity genes. I mean, you could stop there for a lot of people and have life impacts, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I look at sleep as like, this is foundational. So this is where you think, okay, well, what can accomplish that? Most of our stacks, you're going to have 3 peptides, 2 to 3. In some cases, we'll have 4, you'll have 5. This is just, once again, it's a general template, but you can use it. But I always go back and I say, well, I want patients sleeping better, and I want them, my goal is to get them to feel their best in 60 days. So that's a pretty big promise. And our guarantee is that if somebody doesn't like the peptide stack that we put together for them, we will completely replace it at no cost to them. And so this is how confident we are of these stacks. And so this particular patient, epitalin and selenkin. So epitalin is a telomerase enzyme. It's going to naturally promote longevity. But the other thing epitalin has been shown to do is it decreases cholesterol. It helps stabilize blood pressure. It resets the circadian rhythms in the body. I don't know if it does anything for the infradian rhythms, but really when you lengthen the telomeres, it's kind of like pulling the DNA tight, because you want DNA silencing. So there's nice replication from a cellular perspective. That stops a lot of the protein misfolding that happens with age. And then epitalin is just a really great way of taking the stress off of the adrenal glands. Selenk is an anxiolytic. So it activates the serotonin. It also works on the GABA pathways. It's antimicrobial. So it gives your immune system just some nice defense against any microbes proliferating in the sinus cavity, specifically viruses. So those two are always tend to be in our phase 1, our HPA axis reset. If somebody wants to lose weight, then I'll use either tesofensin or semaglutide. And Dan, have you used tesofensin much in your practice yet?
I haven't. And, just seeing it on here was kind of a reminder that I wanted to dig into it a little bit more. I remember a little bit from the last event where I think you discussed it. If it wasn't session 2, I can't remember, but I remember thinking then, because LL37 was the one I came back and I was like, gotta start using that right now.
Right.
But that one I have not. Tell me more about it.
So you'll love this. It was originally studied for patients who had Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, because it works on the dopamine pathways, serotonin pathways, and it actually stimulates noradrenaline. So 3 things that it does with the dopamine pathway. It what they thought is it would help with some of the tremors and just some of the overall depression that can come with Parkinson's disease. They found that it was mildly helpful, but not more helpful than any other drugs. With Alzheimer's, they thought that it would help with some of the memory, but they found that it was moderate. And so this was 2006 is when they were researching it, and then by about 2009 or 2010, they just scrapped it. But what they found is that the participants who used tesofensin, they found that their blood sugar stabilized. They all lost weight, the ones who needed to lose weight. And they found that actually they did it. The participants lost about 10% of their total body weight. And they said, well, this is kind of an interesting byproduct of using this. So the hypothesis they created, and this tesofensin is actually still in clinical trials. It's in the 2B trials, but it looks like it's going to be approved very shortly here in full phase 3 clinical trials. But what they found is that because it works on the dopamine pathways, people's reward centers are already taken care of. So you don't have the cravings. You don't need that like dessert after a meal or a drink of alcohol, because you've got the dopamine, the rewards there. You've got the serotonin, which relaxes the nervous system and increases, just overall satiety as well. And then, you get rid of the sugar cravings. But then the third thing is it triggers more fat burning because of the epinephrine and norepinephrine stimulation that occurs from it. So, all in all, tesofensin is, it's oral. It's really, it's a great, I call this the happy way to quickly lose weight for good.
Hey everybody, Regan Archibald here. I hope you enjoyed the Go Wellness show and maybe learned a couple things you could apply to your practice. If you're a healthcare entrepreneur who wants to work in an academic think tank with like-minded humans who are just like you, looking to provide better service, better quality of care for your patients, reach us at info@gowellness.com and we're happy to do a free practice analysis for you.